lot of people take it for granted. You might watch a comedy special, it's an hour, or a comedian may tell a joke. It might be a 2 minute joke, but like you say, you probably been working on this
Yeah,
mug
ain't
for
taking a minute.
5 years. You know what I'm saying?
Longer, or depending on the joke and how often you get to work it out, and like there's a lot of variables to it. But yeah, coming up with a joke is tough, bro.
Yeah, yeah, most definitely. Now I can ask you about this. Like I say, I'm not a comedian, but sometimes you hear like comedians, they may have a team of writers or they may have people write. Even I think maybe Richard Pryor, I don't know how true it is, but they say Paul Mooney may write a joke for him or help him write a joke. So like in hip hop, people would be like, say if you write for another rapper, it may be frowned upon, but do you look at it like that in terms of comedy, or is it just a part of the art?
Comics do it all the time. They just do it in different ways. It's no different than if any rap artist, singer. If you in a room and you coming up with a melody, somebody might throw you a line or a melody or something, and you finish it. Like they didn't make the joke for you, but you got some type of inspiration based off what they did. Comics do it all the time, bro. It's not like now if you got somebody, there are actually people out there who have comedians write their entire set. That's one thing. It's all relative, bro. It's just like Kanye West is considered a great music artist of our time. Same thing with DJ Khaled, bro. They literally have writers and artists come in and give them the shit. Diddy, same thing, bro. Like it's all relative, but then it depends on you as an artist and how you look at that. Like I personally feel like I'm funny, so I can come up with my own things. Now, has there been times where other comics like if I had a joke or something, they might help me with a tag, like, oh, you should say this here instead of there. Like I came up with the joke, you just gave me a piece of the joke that may help the joke really like flourish. You know what I mean? Everybody, and then when you're in a room full of comedians, man, sometimes, bro, jokes just they write themselves. So you might say something, or you might be talking to somebody, and you might be like, "Oh, that's funny," or they might be like, "Oh, that's funny," and then you got, they'll be like, "You should do that or use this," or "Oh, I can add that to this joke or that joke." It's a big community, this camaraderie, bro. It's all a hodgepodge of like different things. Some people they isolate themselves and write. Some people just be in a room and shit just happens. It's all different, bro. I don't think it makes or breaks you. Now, obviously, like there's a level of like, okay, you got an entire special, and if everybody's like, going every bigger name comedian has writers. Like Chris Rock has writers. Like I've done shows with a couple of his writers before, but it's like known. It's not a secret. Kevin Hart, like he has his boys, the Plastic Cup Boys. They don't necessarily. Kevin is funny as a person and funny in general, but that's the people in the back taking notes on your set. That's what you can deem. Some people deem it as writing, but it's like he might come up with the jokes in the set. They just help him perfect it, because a lot of times you'll be telling jokes, and to me, like I might come up with a joke I might think is hilarious, but my boy might listen to it and hear the structure of it and be like, nah, that ain't it. So then it's like, okay, what makes it? And then you go through and be like, you got to switch this around, do that and that. So he didn't come up with the joke, but he helped me create the joke. Like he not create the joke, he helped me polish the joke. So that's just a part of the industry, but it happens all the time. Some comics do it all the time. Some comics have a team of writers. Some comics don't. It's all relative.
Man, I definitely appreciate that. Now it seems like I say from the outside looking in, it seems like comics are competitive, especially like in the black world. You know what I'm saying? It even get physical sometimes. Like I don't know if you heard recently. I think maybe Scruncho and TK was going at it. Have you ever felt like that? Like is competition out here, or is it just dependent upon the person?
Nah, I personally don't feel like that. I feel like that's more common amongst the OGs than it is the young comics because we come up from a different era and our mentality is very different. A lot of the OGs, they came up at a time where it was basically one nigga in, one nigga out. Like it was a different kind of competition. Like literally, like it was only they used to all get holding deals and different things like that, and there was only so much room for so many comics at one time. There's only so many spots on Def Jam. There's only so many spots on Comic View. There was only so many spots on TV and this and like all these different things only had so many spots. It was very limited for you to get that exposure. You know what I'm saying? And so yeah, they got a very like different type of mentality. A lot of them, whereas a lot of us younger cats, like we came up in the age of the .com era, and now that we in this age of social media, what Desi Banks got going on is different from what, say, like Mojo Brooks got going on. They both got hundreds of thousands and millions of views, but they both selling out all over the country amongst themselves. You know what I'm saying? And like what I got going on is different from another tier of influencer comment got going on. We don't feel like because there's so many people viewing social media, and we don't have to rely on networks to make money. Like you can post your stuff, like you see what Matt Rife is doing. All these dudes, like he just posts up on YouTube and on Instagram, and people start showing up to your shows. This dude is selling out a world tour, sold out the country, and besides wilding out, maybe I don't know if he has other credits, but in general, the fact that I don't know means that he doesn't have to have a major network in order for him to be as big as he is. Same thing with like King Batch. Like when you got the following is currency in our world now, and we don't have to compete for that because it's literally enough laughs for everybody. So it's never, I feel like my only competition is myself. Now it might be competitiveness when you're on a show with somebody specifically. Like it's more like it's like positive competitiveness. Like it's like, if you and your boy racing, like you gonna try to burn him. It's your boy. Y'all not gonna fight after the race. But it's like, it's just lighthearted competition. Or, if somebody going behind you, it's like I want to make it tough for them, but it's out of like making each other better. Iron sharpens iron. I'm not gonna take it easy on the crowd if I know so and so is going behind me. I'm gonna try my best to make him work. And a lot of comedians like that. A lot of comedians don't, but a lot of comedians like that. And I think a lot of comedians in our time, they don't really think like a lot of the OG comedians think. So it's not, to me, and this is my opinion, I don't think it's as crazy as competition as we think it is, because it's a lot of spots out there available for us comedians to eat, for real.
Yeah, man. Social media definitely changed the game. I appreciate you touching on that as well. Now I can ask you, you had posted, a couple different clips of like hecklers, like as a comedian. I mean, I guess that comes with the territory, but it seemed like you've handled yourself well. But what is your perspective on that when people kind of come to the show and act out like that?
I mean, it's natural. It's been happening since the beginning of time. It's just now with social media, it's just making it more um prevalent and obvious because there's cameras now. Like comedians being getting heckled. Honestly, I think it was probably worse in the '90s. You know what I'm saying? But also, I think the whole Dave Chappelle thing kind of created this epidemic, this epidemic of people feeling like the invisible barrier is no longer as prevalent as it usually is. It's not something that people really respect as much. So a lot of people feel a lot more bolder, but I feel like heckling has never not been a thing. Heckling, it just depends on the comic. Some people feel they can get away with it with some comics more than others. You know what I mean? Like you said, that's the only downside to having so many strangers in a crowd. They don't know if you're good at it or not. But some markets, they'll definitely test you and see if you about that life or not. You know what I mean? So it's very easy to get caught in the web, and a lot of comedians, they don't know how to handle stuff like that. So it's definitely a muscle you have to develop. But I think that's just a part of the game, man. You always have to be prepared for stuff like that, just because more times than not, most crowds are there to be a crowd. But some of these shows, people be drunk, especially when you had a late show, they done been out drinking, having dinner, or somebody's birthday. They decided to come to a late comedy show and they just rowdy. So a lot of times, sometimes you have like happy hecklers. You know what I'm saying? Like they not even trying to they're being disruptive, but they not being disrespectful. Those, to me, happy hecklers are the toughest because you don't want to. They clearly not being assholes, so you don't overstep the boundaries of like make, because they just so happy to be a part of the show that they, you don't want them to feel like, damn, I came to your show to show you love and you gonna treat me like that. But at the same time, you want them to stop being disruptive. So it's like those are the toughest ones to handle. You know what I mean? But hecklers is a part of the game, man.